Can actors appear on late night during the SAG-AFTRA strikes? Well, it's complicated, and this article was actually inspired by The Wrap, and they wrote a piece recently that I thought just needed a little more embellishment. Because Hollywood is a land of multi-layered facades and a series of labyrinthine rule books. And of course, there's a mind-bogglingly complex level of hypocrisy that nobody seems to be able to understand. It's rules for thee, but not for me, but it's playing at a professional level here. Oftentimes, they're competing with the political theater in that regard, and many times winning. SAG-AFTRA actually remains on strike right now, and shiltastic late-night TV is tiptoeing back with the likes of HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher. But here's the conundrum. Who can grace the late-night couches while the actors' strike is still in full gear? Well, thankfully, we have a guide to this surreal pseudo-reality, courtesy of Daytime TV and SAG-AFTRA's own rulebook. So, buckle up, folks. Hypocrisy goes into full ridiculous mode now. Here we go. Whether or not we want it, late night is back, despite the strike. Now, I know what you're thinking. The WGA strike is over, so the writers are back to work. And of course, you're right, but those pesky adult pretenders known as actors are still taking voluntary leave from their jobs, let's say. Let's enter the late night saga because it's rather puzzling and it's not without its privileges because, as you know, some of those hosts on those shows are also actors. They belong to SAG-AFTRA. You have Jimmy Fallon, who was in that film Fever Pitch. You have John Oliver, who was actually a part of Community, I guess, and he was also a voice in live-action Lion King. But here's the kicker. Late night shows fall under a different code, the network television code. And it's not the same category as the scripted TV and the streaming projects that SAG-AFTRA is actually striking against right now. Aha. So, these particular striking performers can return to their late night gigs despite the fact that there's an ongoing strike with their particular union. Yet now we are going to get into some real contorted logic when we start to ask questions. Let's start with this one. Can striking actors appear on late night? Well, of course, absolutely. But there's a catch. They can't discuss or promote any work tied to the struck projects, including their own past work if it was produced by a struck studio. Okay. So for the relaunch of The Tonight Show, Jimmy has Matthew McConaughey on and John Mayer. I don't know why. I don't know how relevant John Mayer is anymore. But hey, those are going to be his guests. Now, there will be some restrictions here on what they can talk about. With Matt, they can chat about McConaughey's upcoming project, The Rivals of Amzia King. I don't know. I can't pronounce it, but that's going to be, wait, that's a crime thriller film. Why can they talk about that? Well, it's because it was granted a SAG-AFTRA interim agreement and produced by a studio that's not targeted by the strike. However, McConaughey can't breathe a word about True Detective or anything else that he was in for HBO or any other studio that was struck because those are struck studios. So he's a pretty smart guy and will probably not fall victim to talking about something that he's not supposed to, but there is always that chance and he could get in trouble and a lot of other people could as well. It also seems that striking actors are also off the hook when it comes to these late night shows, at least as far as promoting or discussing projects that they weren't a part of. Don't you see? These rules are all about unity with the union, but they certainly don't have to make any sense, right? So what's left for striking actors to discuss if they can't talk about their upcoming projects, things they're involved with these struck companies? Well, besides the approved things with the interim agreements and all the weird shenanigans pulled there, actors can actually delve into their personal lives, and let me tell you, I hope they don't. I'm pretty tired of that. However, they do have a choice to decline the show and not appear on any of these late night extravaganzas. And that they could portray it as a solidarity move if they wanted to. But in my opinion, in order not to run afoul of these rules, I wouldn't recommend going on any late night shows. I think that's a bad plan. Now we have to ask, can striking actors do promos for late night? Well, yes, but the same no struck work rules apply. they can't promote or discuss struck work, whether it's upcoming, past, or present. Anything they weren't involved in, they can talk about, but promos under the network code are the exception. Even if these promos mention struck work, as long as the employer follows the network code, then the actor is not going to face any repercussions. And again, actors can opt out of promos to stand by their fellow man or whatever. So how are other shows handling this dilemma? Well, daytime talk shows have largely been avoiding the striking actors. Good on them. The trashy, low information peddling shows like, well, The View have ramped up their hot topics and their buzzy bologna sausage to fill the need for their filth machine. And boy, have they been finding tons of that. On the other side of the coin, and for sound evening shows, you have Real Time with Bill Maher, whose first post-strike guest wasn't an actor. He brought in Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. And similarly, you have Late Night with Seth Meyers actually returning without guests, opting for an extended closer look segment instead. And that should really push the audience far away, I suppose. I mean, that show's been pushing people away for a while, but it's not like the ratings for any of these garbage products been particularly good in a very long time. They're really bottom of the barrel now. But I guess it's advertising revenue, right? Now, we all know the old adage, the show must go on, even if it comes with a few asterisks. And of course, it seems that that's what they're leaning into right now, which really just leaves us with a set of glaring questions that I think we can get some answers for. Should it really, though? Should the show go on? Was it really missed? Is it worth the risk? And all of those are interrelated. Those are good questions all, really. Let me know your answers to those down in the comments section below, because I think we could probably decide that maybe we could forego the late night shows forever. And with that, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya!